The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys!
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com
We were on the break!
with Nick Eatman, Brian Broaddus, Ambar Garcia, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Wednesday, October 26th, 2022, Season 18, Episode number 59. Welcome to the latest edition of The Break. We are live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. We're presented by Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. And today we're breaking down the Chicago Bears offense versus the Dallas defense. Before we get to that, though, there were some things we got to talk about that Mike McCarthy brought up. Also, a transaction happened yesterday that is pretty interesting. Let's start first with Zeke Elliott. Zeke Elliott was announced this morning he will not practice today. What do we know about his injury and kind of the prognosis of what that looks like for this game?
Well, he said he was sore yesterday or Monday, and so he's not going to practice today. So that's not that much of a surprise. I think the biggest thing is if he gets to practice tomorrow. Him getting held out a little bit is not unusual for him, but him missing games is. So we'll see what happens moving forward. He's on Monday. He did the Cowboys Hour over here in the Star District, and he didn't sound like he was going to miss games. This game coming up now, obviously with the bye. You see that coming, looming, and you're like, well, you can get 2 weeks worth, but I have a hard time thinking that he's going to miss games. But we'll see. They don't have any depth really at running back. So if you start bringing in running backs for the practice squad, then that might change everyone's opinion of what they're going to do.
Yeah, I reached out to some folks here. I haven't heard back on that yet. Hopefully, maybe by the show we'll know what the situation. I just, you always assumed he's going to just play in practice.
Yeah, regardless.
Like I say, anytime you ask a question about him last year, he's fine. He's fine. I'm like, okay, why is he averaging 3 yards a carry? Well, he's fine. Don't worry, he's fine. And so, yeah, I with him, he sees what's ahead. He knows they're going to need this game, and all the games are. But then, like Nick's talking about, you got the bye afterwards. So hopefully you can. Now they might say, well, maybe he doesn't play this week, and you have the bye, and now you got 2 weeks of rest getting ready for Green Bay and Minnesota. So I think there's a couple of different ways to play it. But man, that guy rips up stuff in his knee and plays, so I'm sure he's probably thinking that he's going to play again this week.
Yeah, I'll take you guys back to the preseason. What are your thoughts on Malik Davis? Because during the preseason, I think there are a lot of people that were kind of impressed with him in the event that he should have to play, whether that is Zeke is out or whether they just think, hey, Zeke's going to play, but maybe we're going to reduce his role just a little bit. We'll ease him in a little bit more. What do you think of him and kind of what he's shown so far?
I liked him. I liked him in the preseason. He looked good, and he didn't get to run behind the first-team offensive line, but he ran behind Tyler Smith, who was working in their second team, and I thought he runs hard, and rookies tend to come in and do a good job. It's a position where just run the ball. Just run the ball. Now pick up the blitz. That's a thing. We've seen that change the whole season. But as far as run the ball, most guys are pretty good at it. But they don't have a lot of depth though. That's what I'm saying. They have nobody on the practice squad. Their running backs were Davis and Shampklin, and Shampklin was out for the season, so they don't really have any depth there. So if he's going to miss a game, they're going to have to do some stuff.
Yeah, they're going to have to. I'll tell you the thing that was impressive, because you watched him at Florida, and man, they were on him really early. And then you were talking to people and scouts around the league about him. I'm like, man, this kid's one of Dallas's 30 visits, and nobody could really figure out why. What are they seeing in him? What are they? And because at Florida, you could go back, he split time. They rotated a lot of backs. You saw some. If you said, "Man, this kid's got NFL potential," off that tape, well, they did the same damn thing with Micah Parsons as a rusher, I guess. These scouts, give them some credit, but I think the thing when you look at Davis in the preseason and stuff, there was a sense of urgency running the football. There was a sense of like, okay, I didn't get many opportunities in Florida, but I'm going to show people what I can do here. And I thought he ran with balance and toughness. And, it's a little bit different animal when you play the regular season games. But at least it was one of those things where, everybody wants to say these backs, don't pay them, you can find them, until you can't find them. But it looked like to me that during the preseason, they found a guy that's got some skill to him and that ability to, you hand him the football, you ask him to hit a hole, he's going to hit it. You're going to ask him, wait, the hole's kind of muddy, dirty. He's going to hit it. He's going to bounce off a guy, So that part of it I thought was really – he was when we were doing the 53, it's like, well, could somebody claim a guy like this? Mm-hmm. Could somebody claim, could the preseason tape be good enough to where somebody's like, man, he's better than the cat we're playing with right now? So Nick's right there. They're going to have to do something if Elliott doesn't appear for this one.
Yeah, if something happens, that's a guy I feel very comfortable just kind of having in there and seeing how he plays because of how he was in the preseason. But so in the preseason, it was him, and what was the other guy?
Rico Dowdle also is also out.
Because I thought, in general, they were running the ball pretty well in the whole preseason.
They were.
The running backs were all looking really, really good. And he was one that kind of stood out, but just by a little bit. And I remember thinking, man, if this is how they're running with, the bottom of the depth chart here, not even your starter, I would love to see how a guy like him runs behind all the starters and things like that. So I think they're pretty set there. I don't think Zeke will. It's hard to believe he's gonna miss this weekend just because of how we know how he is and all that. But if something does happen, and would you even have 3 running backs active?
To be honest with you, I guess that's the next question is, do you even have to? Because do you think you could go in this game and if Zeke is kind of limited a little bit, but he's able to play, do you feel confident that Pollard can really kind of handle the bulk of the load? Is that something that you feel comfortable with?
No. I know there's a lot of people out there. They're probably cheering for that. Not cheering that Zeke's hurt, not playing, but there's this faction there's the Dak faction, and then there's the play Pollard more faction of group of folks. They're like, well, yeah, give him 27 carries. Let's see what's going on there. Let's see what's happening with this guy. So, I think
for those people, I would tell them to watch last week's game.
Yeah,
he couldn't get 3rd and 1. He couldn't get 2nd and 2, down at the goal line. There was a couple times where why weren't they giving it to Zeke down there? That's when they had to kick a field goal. He doesn't pick up those yards, and you can look at his average and say, oh, that's great because he does have some big runs, and he's better at Zeke than busting up those runs. But if they gave him the ball constantly around the goal line, and he could get one, and that kills your average right there. So average is kind of out the window. It's can you pick up the yards? And I think the proof has been out there that he can get some inside runs, but Zeke and they need to work together. They need 2 backs working together. I think Davis could fill in for Zeke if this happens. This all might be a moot point.
Yeah,
he's probably laughing.
It kind of is a moot point because, like Amber said, the likelihood he's going to miss this game is probably not very high. But, it is worth the conversation.
I think he's missed one his entire career.
Wow.
Because of injury.
Right.
But some other games, some other things, and also getting pulled by the team at the end of the season, saying we're resting you and all that. But as far as injury goes, I think it's just that one in 2020.
And he's played through injury. That's the thing. He's had some injuries.
He's played through injury.
It's not that he's been healthy. He's played through injuries, and he's a tough guy. He really is.
The word is that I just got was he's out just today, and we'll see how things feel tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what they're coming. They know today they don't need him, but tomorrow that's what their goal is.
Yep. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about a transaction happened yesterday. Cowboys do make the trade. It was interesting. Brian asked the question.
Yeah, how about you guys not making a call at all?
Nobody
said 100% on making a trade. I'm really disappointed in all of you because I was kind of leading you down a path, but nobody wanted to take the path. Nobody bid on it.
Well, we've been shell shocked with that one before, where we wanted them to make moves and they didn't. But yesterday, make a move for a trade for Jonathan Hankins.
Yeah,
he is a 6'3", 340-pound big body 10th-year veteran. He was a second-round pick of the Giants back in 2013. First of all, I guess let's get a scouting report on him, Brian. Tell me, what is this guy? What does he bring to the team from a standpoint of skill?
Yeah, and it's funny. Nick was on this morning with filling in for RJ Choppy, and Nick reminded me of Snacks Harrison.
Yeah.
As he didn't have this guy didn't have the creative nickname.
Yeah, the nickname, but he was the other guy.
He was the other big body guy, yeah. But this guy gives you another interior presence that will allow them to. And this is coming from some of the guys that scout in this league that know this guy pretty well. And I have a chance to sit down and watch a little bit of him, but I just want to get this. I think this is a pretty good assessment of what this guy is. He gives them another interior presence that will allow them to diminish the run, and a very good gap and half gap, 2-gap run defender. When we say 2-gap, head up, and you extend, you look inside, and then you look the other way. So you try and find the ball. It's not just, hey, you take this gap and that's all you're responsible for. So they're talking about him being like a 2-gap nose. Head up, inside, outside. That's a 2-gap player right there. Very intelligent, instinctive run defender that plays hard. He has the ability to compress the pocket in the running game. So that was something that this particular scout, was talking about. And, to the 3 reports that I got, all of them were super positive about his ability to play against the run. And that's kind of what you're looking for right now. Again, Nick and I were talking about this on a show this morning on 105.3 The Fan about what's ahead for you as far as some of these teams you're about to play after the bye. With the Packers, the Vikings, Tennessee, Indianapolis. You're playing Philadelphia again, New York. You're playing these teams. This might be one of those precursors to, like, we got to shore something up now. We don't have time to wait after the draft or the bye to make this work. Let's get on this early, be proactive, and see if we can kind of take care of some things.
Go back and look at the best linebackers that have ever played this game, and you'll be hard-pressed to find the really good ones that didn't have really good defensive tackles in front of them. I mean, even, Ray Lewis had his Saragusa and was Adams, in there. Obviously, those guys in Chicago in front of Singletary. Even in the Cowboys, and when they had Leroy Jordan and they had Bob Lilly and those guys in the center. So, I mean, I guarantee you Leighton Vander Esch and Micah Parsons are extremely excited about this move because clogging up the middle, don't look at the sacks. They're not there. He hasn't had a sack in 3 years. That's not what he does. He clogs up the middle and he lets those other guys run around and make plays. So if you heard any howling going on, it's probably because Leighton Vander Esch is excited about this move. He should be, because this is the kind of move that would help those linebackers go and make plays.
Where do they use him? Like, who right now on this team? I know, obviously, we're going to talk about Neville Gallimore.
Yeah.
But who on this team do you think is the person that's going to be getting less opportunities for the purposes of Hankins getting more?
Well, I mean, Gallimore is one. I mean, and Bohanna maybe.
I think Bohanna. Yeah, I think this is Bohanna's situation. I don't think they're. I'm not going to say they're happy with. Yeah, Watkins. It came down to, I was told, last week to play Gallimore or Watkins, and the coaches decided to play Watkins. And I remember we all came back here on a Monday, and I'm like, hey, the All-22 showed me something about Watkins. It's not in the stats. It's how he played defensively. So the coaches felt like that, hey, let's give another look to Watkins here. So, Watkins and Bohanna, I think that's focus on all the guys that are the one techniques or the nose tackle guys. It's not going to be about Tristan Hill and Osa Odigizua and those guys. It's about the other guys, the Bohannas, the big guys. Yeah, that's where I think they're going to. I don't think they're very happy with the rotation that's been going on at that one technique or that nose tackle spot. I think that's why they went out and made this move.
So what do you guys think is the deal with Gallimore? Because as of this morning,
good question.
Supposedly he removed everything Cowboys related on his social, which, players have done that before. Sometimes it means something, sometimes it doesn't. It's a very passive-aggressive way to be able to make a statement if you wanted to do that.
But you noticed.
Huh?
I didn't know that happened.
Yeah, that was something that kind of, people started talking about it this morning that it happened.
We were.
But my question becomes, what's going on with him? Because it did sound like the Cowboys were over weeks. This is not just something that happened last week. Over weeks, the Cowboys weren't seemingly as happy with his play. Then last week he's inactive. Then this week they get another defensive tackle that presumably would play a position that he would be playing. What's going on with him? Has he fallen out of favor?
Yeah, I think you're reading into it right. And where we should have seen this coming, and there are folks that did, but we were a little late reporting it, was in training camp when I'm broadcasting the game with Brad, and all of a sudden Neville Gallimore makes a tackle in the preseason late in the third quarter of a game, and then you look to yourself, why is Neville Gallimore out there playing a game in a preseason late in the third quarter? He's a veteran player. He was a starter. Always the whispers were like, listen, we just weren't happy with the way that he came in physically. We wanted to get him in shape. We wanted to, and I think it kind of started with then, and it's just kind of slowly materialized into, what, we need to do other things there. And maybe the player, I'm not saying what he's thinking, but I know what they're thinking there, that is like, hey, we need more. We need to be all bought in. We need to figure out, our rotations, and you need to be committed to the rotations. The fact that he was playing in those preseason games late, that was the number one clue. And then the more you dive in, and I know in our pregame show last week, I asked Christy Scales, she was saying there was something wrong with a wrist injury. That's what I was told too. Yeah,
but it's weird because it's not on the injury report.
Yeah, he was full go.
That's what I'm saying.
All week.
Yeah, and so Christy and Nick, who are really plugged into what's going on, people on Twitter are asking me, and I'm like, I was told it was a wrist injury. Christy and Nick, I'm going to trust what they're saying, and so, but then you start hearing about he's working through things, and you didn't hear about a wrist. It was working through things. So it was a strange deal.
So down on the field, I was asking around a little bit about what was going on with Gallimore. Why is he? We were in the press box before that wondering who the last guy was going to be. You and Todd Archer had it all pegged out, but one guy. Who was it going to be? Yeah. And it ended up being Gallimore. And so I kind of asked a little bit, and I was told hand, wrist, something doesn't have the punch that needed. So I was like, okay, come upstairs. Game's about to start, whatever. I got the binoculars on. I'm looking, and I see, there's Gallimore, nothing taped or whatever. And then all of a sudden, he was just like, let's go, just clapping. I was just like, okay. Again, maybe there is something.
You're like, wrist doesn't look too bothered.
So, I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
I think there's a lot of, I think it, to me, if you're trying to connect the dots, which we do sometimes really well, and other times we're drawn outside the lines. Yeah. I think that it's one of those things that kind of goes back to what was going on in the preseason.
Yeah,
I think it's a carryover.
I know people will accuse me of implying, and I'm not. But this looks like, based off of where we are in the season, what has happened, and what happened with his social media, this looks like maybe a potential trade for the Cowboys. The Cowboys trading him. But I'm not saying I don't know this. Yeah. I'm just saying it's kind of what it's starting to look like.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams in my 105.3, the Gang of Seven. There's a lot of teams. When I was asking about possible names last week, a team gave me Hankins' name. He said, hey, keep an eye on what Vegas is doing with Hankins. That could be a guy that you can go get. And I'm like, okay, cool. That's great. Keep a name in mind. Sure enough, that happened. So, but everybody was asking me, why is Dallas looking for defensive linemen? Don't they have, why are you asking me defensive?
They have a lot of them.
Yeah, why are you asking me defensive lineman questions? And so, that was something that, I think kind of surprised a few people.
McCarthy was asked today. He said, you can't have enough of those big guys. And
that's true.
So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens on the injury report, if he's on there for any reason, or if he practices, or what. Or, we just play better. I mean, maybe they'll light a fire under him,
To wrap up the report,
I was just looking at his Instagram. He has all his Cowboy stuff on there.
It was Twitter.
Was it Twitter?
It was on Twitter.
And my understanding, and I didn't see it before, but what was being reported was supposedly it was in the bio part of it.
Yeah, he's got his Canadian citizenship, Ottawa, and all that stuff like that. Yeah.
But again, I'm not really sure. At the end of the day, a lot of this is, a lot of smoke, and all these things you kind of put together, and you start kind of creating a narrative because you don't really know, and nobody really knows except for the people in this building who have been making the decisions on why he's playing or not playing, and what's been told to him and not told to him, right? Yeah. But to wrap up this conversation, Amber, what do you think? Do you think that this move makes this run defense better?
Absolutely, I do think so. Especially when you start reading up on a guy. His size and everything that, not just his size, his experience, the experience that he has. And when I think we were all at lunch or something when we heard about the trade, and you're like, oh, what?
Imagine that. Did you have your iPad with you?
Oh, that's how it goes.
That was surprising enough. But then you had, what?
No, nothing. I'm just like, you're right. Usually it's always hanging out.
We're all hanging out.
Place. Something's going to go on.
Everybody's ordered steak at Saltgrass, and we're all hustling back.
I had just sent a message to William about what the title of the show was going to be, and I was like, "What about some trade coming up? You think maybe the Cowboys would be interested?" And we talked about discussing a trade, and then all of a sudden a trade happened. I was like, "William, post it before."
No, but that was surprising enough, and then you find out what position it was, and you're like, oh, on defense, because you're thinking of a trade, and I guess maybe it was because of what we had talked about on the show. I'm thinking offense, or but then to hear that and think, oh, wow, okay, Dan Quinn, if he has his voice in it, I'm all in, and we know that's the one area that the Cowboys defense does need to improve. And you talk about improvement on defense, that's hard to imagine, but imagine adding a guy like him, his body size and everything. And like Brian said, linebackers. Leighton Vander Esch, there's so many times that I'm still like, I watch him playing, and he's just he needs a little bit of help. I think he's improved this season compared to last year, but any plus added on defense, it's a great added.
There's another part of this. What's his measurables here? 6'4",
6'3",
okay.
Yeah, 6'3", 340.
6'3", yeah, 340.
Well, I mean, look at the quarterback. I mean, Fields, and then you got Cousins, Aaron Rodgers, Ellinger on there. I mean, none of these guys are going to the NBA. I mean, like, none of these guys are super tall. And so that's another element of a guy that you put in there. And defensive tackles typically aren't that tall. They get cut a lot. Yeah. But
that is a tall defensive
But he's
tackle.
learned how to play that way. He's not, was it John Henderson back in the day with the...
Oh, well, how about David Irving?
Yeah.
No, seriously.
No, for real. I mean,
no, for real. Seriously, I'm going to be retired one day,
David Irving.
And you guys are going to ask me, like, can I come to the lake house, and I'm going to be cooking crawfish, and you're going to go, Brian, who was the one player that was like had it all but didn't have any? Didn't at the end of the day? And I'm going to say it's David Irving.
Such a waste.
I mean, seriously, that you go back and watch him play that game in Green Bay where he was Player of the Week. There was not. You talk about a tall defensive tackle that was dominant in a game. That guy, it was crazy what kind of player that guy was.
He had so much talent.
Yeah, I'll never forget Tyrone Crawford. They were asking, could David Irving's coming off a suspension or what it was? I forgot what it was. You expect this guy to just come right in and help, even though he hasn't practiced at all? And Tyrone Crawford was like, well, David could. Yeah. I mean, nobody else could, but David can. That's just him. He's a freak. And he had a chance to do that, but it's football. Football's not for everyone. It really isn't. Yeah. It's not. It wasn't
That's
number
a fair
one.
Point.
And when I think of him and the talent and all that stuff, I don't think of what he could have had. I think, what if Sean Lee had that? Had that ability,
just body
combined with just the thought. I mean, I remember Sean Lee saying one time, he was talking about the players after a game. Some of them some really care, some don't. I remember him saying one time about some of the guys are just wondering what's the food on the plane after a game. He goes, man, for me, when we lose, I don't even want to eat for like 3 hours. So what do people care about? You know what I mean? Like, not everybody's built the same way, which is fine. But you just wish that there were guys that had that freakish talent that combined with somebody that just studied and did everything. Yeah. Maybe it's just rare. Maybe if you had all that, you don't study.
But that's also why you only have a few of those really great players. Yeah. It's because that's when you combine all
like
those
Peyton
things
Manning,
together.
who
Well, yeah, but I don't know. Did his body fail? His body kind of failed him as well. But
for 14 years.
True.
His neck fell off.
True. Yeah, kind of. But I mean, that's also why there are only a few of those guys that are that have that combination of the ability, the want to, and then the body that just can hold up to this. And those are the guys that end up being extremely great.
That Manning cast, I got a text at 10 o'clock at night from Rob Phillips. And I was like, whoa, Rob, coming back? No,
need bail money?
What are you coming?
Bail money?
What's going on? No, he's good.
Say, not Rob.
No, he. I was like, what? 10 o'clock? What's going on? He was like, Vince Vaughn's on the Manning cast. If you haven't, like, oh, yeah, of course. Thank you.
Your dude.
That's right. Kind of.
Maybe not
Did
anymore.
he give you the Heisman at a party one time?
Maybe not anymore. All right, we're really late on our break. We're really late on our break. We're going to go to break on that.
I promise
note.
I'll get to the Bears.
When we come back, we're going to talk Chicago offense versus Dallas defense. We'll be right back. DallasCowboys.com radio.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
What do you call a group of grown men and women with their faces painted silver and blue who get together every week to share a 3-hour-long ritual of jumping, singing, and toasting Miller Lite in 10-gallon hats while yelling, "How about them Cowboys?" You call it Miller Time in Dallas. Here's to the Cowboys. Here's to the original light beer. It's Miller Time. Celebrate responsibly. 2021 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
When you build, you start with the foundation. And home ownership is a foundation of a stable future. The Bank of America Community Home Ownership Commitment has helped over 34,000 people lay the groundwork so far, with up to $10,000 towards your down payment or 3% of the purchase price, whichever is less. The satisfaction of owning your own place can become a reality. Visit bankofamerica.com/homeowner to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America N.A. Equal Housing Lender. Credit and collateral is subject to approval. Restrictions apply. This is not a commitment to lend.
Back to the break.
NFL Plus is here, which means no matter where you are, this is how you football. Get live, local, and primetime regular season and postseason games on your phone or tablet, game replays, and more. Go to plus.nfl.com and start your free trial of NFL today. And then Jim Brown had the ball, and he went to the 5-yard line, and the rugged Packers defense couldn't stop him.
Jerry Kramer with a key block that opened up the space for Jim Taylor to run through. Hey, you're the historian of this team. Why do the Cowboys not have a song?
Have a song?
Like the Raider Might song. You know?
Do. You didn't hear it as the show was beginning? Go Cowboys!
Oh, that's our song?
That's our song.
Got a song.
We got a song.
They had that one song that they would always play.
But I was thinking okay, that's from the...
Go!
This is our house.
What is this?
This is from the 70s. This one was Stampede. Yeah.
I've never heard
That
this
is
song.
not true. I heard it last week. Yes, positive. Because I'm like, I haven't heard it.
You know they used to play at Texas Stadium that didn't have words.
Yeah.
But it was like dun 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 dun, right after the kickoff.
Yeah.
Every time I forgot what.
I remember they used to let the balloons go too, and they get caught in the rafters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I was thinking it was like a song like Raider Might, that dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
A pirate's mustang, that kind of thing. Yeah. That one, John Facenda
something
voice.
like that. Yeah, they don't have anything like that. I don't think.
I laugh because
Hail to the Cowboys type thing.
Yeah.
we play that song a lot on mix shots, and Derek goes, "I've never heard that song before."
Oops.
It's right in the middle of a 3:00 meeting.
It
that
is.
He
That
always
is
has.
true.
That is why.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
Everson, Don't
Bears.
come in here.
What do you know about the
Always
Bears,
wants that
Derek?
song.
Let's change the subject. Let's go into Bears offense versus Cowboys defense.
What did
Brian,
they do well?
What did they do well?
Give the ball to Peyton. Let him fly over the top for touchdowns.
Yeah. Run behind Jimbo Covert, I'll tell you what.
Don't. They play defense.
I do have a question about
ahead.
the Bears because
Yeah, go ahead.
and not one of those like whatever happened to this guy. I know I say that a lot, but I can't think of his name. He was a little dude that played for them. He was
Matsui?
No.
Oh.
Neil Anderson.
Oh, Neil Anderson.
No. Like last couple of years.
He's a running back?
Like 5'5".
Oh, you're talking about.
And he caught the ball out of the backfield.
He's not with them anymore, but his name is.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
He was a little dude.
He's short guy, fast, quick. They use him out of the backfield a lot.
It was like something with a T.
Yes.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
I see his face and I can't remember.
You'll think about it here in a second.
He was a little dude.
Cohen.
Cohen.
Cohen. There you go. Boom.
Good
I knew
radio.
God.
Good radio right there.
There you go.
It's embarrassing that football guy couldn't remember it.
I
Cohen.
like how you spelled
This
embarrassing.
is what happens when you get 350 or
Yeah.
close to 50-plus guys trying to figure out anything.
Yeah.
Takes a bit.
What happened to him?
What happened to him?
I don't think he's not there anymore. I don't know where he is now.
They got a guy
Probably
named
got hurt.
Khalil Herbert. That's a pretty good player for them.
Yeah,
They're
he's a
running
good
back.
runner.
They've got a couple of backs you're going to have to worry about here. David Montgomery, and then Herbert. They've kind of got a little bit of a big back, power back, and then a running back, a kind of a quick back, but both these backs break tackles. You got to be really. This is going to be a tackling game here. Is what this is going to be, because. If in fact that you can make them have to throw the ball, that's their weakness right there. They really don't. They don't have anybody on the outside that Darnell Mooney is a good player. He is a good player. It's unfortunate. He'll make some incredible catches too. I mean, he will make these circus-like catches, keep his feet in bounds. He's that type of a player. But they don't have anybody that just completely scares you. Dante Pettis is a guy that is kind of he's had a little bit of he's a better punt returner I think than he is a receiver, but they like to throw screens and stuff to these guys. We have another St. Brown that you have to deal with here, though. The brother Equiminius St. Brown is what you have to deal with. So it's if you can make them pass, that's kind of their weakness because the quarterback isn't always accurate. Now the problem is the quarterback can be, and everybody who watched the Monday night game can see this. This guy will escape. He'll run around. He'll run around and miss throws is what he'll do too. You can watch that too. But you got to be able to get this guy on the ground. And he's a little bit of a he's a lot faster. I mean, he ran really, really well at the combine. So you do see that it's not just made up speed. He's got legitimate speed. He can escape. He's a big guy. He can, he gets first downs. He's a quarterback sneak guy. He's around. They started running a power running game with him, just straight runs. And, that's what you're going to have to deal with this game. It's not, if somehow, some way it turns into him having to throw the ball for them to win, you're probably going to win. But if it turns into they can hand the ball off to Montgomery, they can hand the ball off to Herbert, Fields can run the ball, that's the problem that you're going to run into in this game. But if you make them have to throw the right tackle, Larry Braum, he is not very good. And that's where the pressure was. I think on the other side, Braxton Jones, number 70, he's a left tackle. I think he's a lot better. So if you're going to attack a guy, attack the right tackle in this football game, because that's, I think, where it is if it turns into a passing game. But my gosh, don't let this guy, the quarterback, take off running in the pocket and be loose, because he's going to make plays with his feet.
Yeah, real quick, Nick, before you make your point, I will say this. You talk about their passing game and their running game. I don't think I've ever seen a team that's this lopsided. Right now, check this out. They are first in rushing yards per game at 181. That's a really big clip, right? They're also first in rushing attempts, so they try to run the ball. That's their game, 242 rushing attempts this season. They are dead last in pass yards per game with 126.3. Think about that. They only pass for 126 yards per game, and they are dead last in sack percentage. They can't protect their quarterback. Yeah. They can't throw for yards. They are a running team. You take the run away from them, they will die.
They do. And that's the thing about the quarterback. He'll run and he'll drop the ball in the pocket. I mean, he'll run and the ball just fly out of his hand.
Yeah.
And so you got to be ready for turnovers. But, man, there were times, I mean, I'm watching games where they go play action and, like, Mooney's running down the sidelines and he's open. There's separation, and he throws the ball, like, to the cheerleaders. Like the Vikings cheerleaders make a catch, and you're like going – You're like sitting there going, well,
yards after catch.
Yeah, but it was yards. But that's what I'm saying. He can't. He's just not accurate enough throwing the ball. And this morning I was doing radio with Sean Sharif, and we had Mike Lombardi on, and he's talking about you're playing against a team that he completes 10 passes the whole game. They're quarterbacks that complete 10 passes on a drive. That kind of thing. So. That's the thing about it. It's going to come down to, can you stop them from running the football? If you do that, you beat the Bears. That's where that's the game. If you want to learn one thing today, stop the run, you win the game.
Yeah,
That's it.
I think this is a big week to have some exotic looks from Dan Quinn, to show him some things, show Fields some things that he hasn't really seen before. But you're right about the run. I mean, like I think this is a situation where the corners have to just man up on the outside, play it, and everything's got to sell out that way. But they got to do better with the RPO. It's there. I mean, everything that they saw on tape. But I think what I'm trying to say is whatever. If the Bears are looking at the Eagles tape for the Cowboys defense, they need to switch that. They need to change that. They need to change what they're doing. Don't give them, this worked here.
Yeah.
We got to do it. They need to have some different looks to confuse them.
Yeah, that's the thing about it is when you play a team, like I say, with this this athletic quarterback and all that, you worry about though is this something that they're going to just, because a short week for them. You feel like. And I asked Michael Lombardi about this. I said, short week, same game plan because you don't have a lot of time. And he's like, yeah, I mean, they're going to try and run the ball on you. And, you need to be worried about the RPO stuff like you're talking about, but the RPO from the running aspect of it. You can't, talking to people about how to play against this, everybody says, listen, Micah Parsons looked like he got frozen this game against Philadelphia. Don't put it past Dan Quinn just to say, go hit Fields. Hand off or not, go hit Fields. Just go. You go to the mesh point and you hit whoever's there. So there's not any indecision. So all of a sudden now, there's not that he's reading off Micah Parsons. No, Micah Parsons is attacking every single time. And so now Fields is thinking about pulling that ball. Well, wait, I might get hit by Micah Parsons again. Or even if you hand it off, you get hit by Micah Parsons. There's something to that. Take the indecision out of what's going on with Parsons. You just attack the mesh point. If you hit ball carrier, if you hit quarterback, whoever you hit, just hit something, and we'll cover on the back end for everything else.
Okay. I don't have any questions. My questions are for tomorrow because today
the defense.
Even though you're talking about the running game and that's pretty interesting the stats that you pulled up, Derek, but I just feel like although that's their weakest point in the defense, at the same time, it hasn't killed them in any game, really. The running game, I mean. It just has not killed the Cowboys.
Other than Philly and maybe Tampa.
Okay. I don't even... When talking about the Cowboys this season, I don't even take Tampa into consideration of anything. Now, Philly, that's a different story, but it was a game that they could have very well won that game as well. Like, it wasn't something... we'll talk about Philly again down the line when we get to December. But in the meantime, there's literally almost nothing that you can tell me from any other team that makes me think they're going to completely shut down the Cowboys defense.
And that's a fair point because when you think about it, like teams like this, and when I say like this, I'm talking Chicago's not one of those better teams in the league. They don't have that dynamic person that you're kind of worried about at quarterback that also has receiving targets that they can throw to. Like they have a kind of that combination. The Bears don't. And Cowboys have faced teams that have good running games but didn't have the trigger man to be able to make you worried about that dual threat. And that's where I think you're right. Like Chicago just doesn't present the same kind of challenge. It's what Nick said. They don't present the same challenge as Philadelphia because they don't have the guy that can actually throw the ball. and actually complete that with any
the thing you have to worry about with the Bears, I think, offensively is if they do run the ball and they really shorten this game, and instead of having 11 or 12 possessions in a game, you only have 9. And so all of a sudden now they put pressure on you, like, how are you doing? Like, if the first half of the Cowboy game the other day, it wasn't until really the second half that the offense really started getting it going, and you're worried about, like, okay, well, if there are only going to be 9 possessions in this game, are you going to be able to, you're going to be able to score? And if the Bears are taking their drives and they're getting points, and then you're not, but you don't have enough possessions, and then all of a sudden they start running the ball, and you're not going to get any extra possessions. I think that's something you can worry about in this game. Teams that shorten the game, it's less possessions, and it puts pressure on the opposing offense. Okay, if they score by on a 12-play, 15-play drive and take 8 minutes off the clock, and you only get 2 possessions or 1 possession, in the quarter, that could be a little tough on you.
Exactly, because the Cowboys defense will keep you in the game, and the Cowboys offense will keep you in the game too. And that's the problem, is they're not extending leads, and so it's a risky situation to say, all right, we're going to play it this way: run, punt, be safe, punt it, but then you look up and it's a 10-6 game in the fourth quarter. Yeah. And so maybe, like Brian said, the Lions will figure out a way to give you the game. But the Bears the other night didn't do that. And so, you can't always play it that way.
You're a good point, because the Bears got, they were up in that game, and then they lose the lead. A quarterback switch, as we all know, with Zappe coming in, and now all of a sudden you're thinking, okay, well, here the Bears are going to fall apart. No, it was the Patriots that fell apart. Yeah. Bears just kept, got points before half, got another opportunity, got a turnover, got points again. So you just encourage them to stay in the game. New England, Mike Lombardi said this today about it, and I give my credit about this. He goes, Dallas has the defensive personnel to handle playing the Bears because of the speed and the ability to close. He goes, New England didn't have that. New England doesn't have the speed that the Cowboys defense has to be able to close and make plays.
And also, we say all this RPO, for the Eagles and all that, but really, I think in this game it's read option. It's not so much the RPO. It's field or
it's a college game.
Yeah.
It's a handoff or quarterback run.
Right.
That's what it is.
There really is no pass option.
The pass aspect.
He can throw it, but
it's not always accurate.
Consistently. Yeah. All right, we're going to take our final break. We're going to come back. We got maybe a question we can fit in here. We'll do that and come back. DallasCowboys.com radio.
The season is finally here. For months, we've been gearing up to win. Now it's time for the team that performs on any field, United Ag and Turf. With John Deere zero turns for mowing, compact tractors for loading, mini excavators for digging, Gator utility vehicles for hauling, implements for grading, hay tools for baling. United Ag and Turf, for winning. The official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com for more.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
This week! Did you get to work on time?
Yeah, but I just realized it's Sunday.
Little Sweet says head on home. Dr. Pepper's on its way. So sweet, unique. Baby, there's nothing better. I bet you've probably done something that deserves a Dr. Pepper. Did you invest your nest egg in an NFT?
Yeah, and I don't even know what that is. It's a non-fungible token.
Everyone's done something that deserves a Dr. Pepper.
When you build, you start with the foundation. And home ownership is a foundation of a stable future. The Bank of America Community Homeownership Commitment has helped over 34,000 people lay the groundwork so far, with up to $10,000 towards your down payment or 3% of the purchase price, whichever is less. The satisfaction of owning your own place can become a reality. Visit bankofamerica.com/homeowner to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America N.A. Equal Housing Lender. Credit and collateral is subject to approval. Restrictions apply. This is not a commitment to lend.
Back to the break.
Miller Lite is proud to bring you Q Barbecue Fest Dallas. It's located at the Miller Lite House at AT&T Stadium. Join your Cowboys from November 4th through November 6th for some of the best barbecue in the country. Get your tickets today. SeatGeek.com, the official ticketing provider of AT&T Stadium.
Welcome back. Final segment of the break, brought to you by Blockchain.com. Nick, we hear there's been some transactions that have happened this morning. What do we hear?
Well, it is. Everything's brought to you by Blockchain.com. Anyways, there we go. Sorry, Brian doesn't get that
Chris,
point.
do the ding. Brian is waiting for the ding.
Chris got the phone
got a
ringing in
million
the background.
things going on over there.
Yeah,
Brian's over here just keeps like, where's my ding?
A couple of transactions. Yes, Jordan Lewis and Matt Farniok both on injured reserve now. Farniok could be a 4-week thing. Yeah. We'll see. Well, it's pretty severe hamstring injury though, from what it sounds like. Yeah. Jordan Lewis looks like obviously done for the year. They activated Damone Clark. So
let's go.
Rookie 5th-round pick.
Let's
there you go. Yeah, I mean,
I think everybody's excited about seeing him play.
Oh, there's people in the whoever drafted him and said we need to draft him. He's probably doing another one of those sounds that Chris has back there because he's probably said, hey, this guy can play.
Yep.
And here he is.
And trust he'll get past the injury. He'll be fine.
Exactly. And I didn't think he'd be ready to play this early. So big move there. And then they also added Kendall Sheffield to the practice squad, cornerback. So he might be a guy that they could call up on game day if they need him.
Yep. All right, we appreciate you guys joining us. We'll be back tomorrow. We're going to jump into the defense. The defense, yeah, Chicago defense versus Dallas offense, which is an interesting part of the game. We'll see how that plays out, Nick. I think that's a very valid point you're making today about that. We'll talk about that a little bit more tomorrow. Till then, for Nick Keatman, Brian Broaddus, Amber Garcia, I'm Derek Hughlton. This has been The Break, live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this?